We are live. Oh, that was weird. I don't know why we had another loop, but whatever.
Technical difficulties are out the bat.
Yeah, some weird audio thing going on, but whatever. Well, anyway, we're back here for another episode of the Spurs Rewind, and I'm your host Joe Garcia here, and I'm going to be joined by my counterparts. We're going to be joined by the one and only Vicky Vix. Vicky, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm excited to talk Spurs basketball with you and with our other counterpart here, the one and only Josh Paredes, who is also a writer for Air Alamo and Project Spurs. Josh, how's your week going?
Pretty good so far. I just napped recently, so if I look a little tired, that's why.
So, do you have a little bedhead?
Yeah, a little bit. There's a little curl going on.
Your dogs let you nap for a little bit?
Well, I go upstairs for that. If I want to
Okay.
nap with them, I'll stay down there with them. But if I want to have peace, I'll go upstairs.
If I want to
That's
have
good.
peace.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of peace here, we got to talk about some subjects, and one of these right off the bat is going to be talking about Coach Pop, and this was something that I pulled directly from Josh's article over at Air Alamo. So we'll go ahead and transition to that. Josh went ahead and wrote this article that you can check out at Air Alamo, and it says Spurs rumors. Coach Pop really wants that all-time record. So we go down a little bit. Josh was talking about, Coach Pop and how he's only basically 26 wins away from being the most winningest coach in NBA history. Josh, you want to go ahead and let us know a little bit more about your article now that I teased it?
Sure. Yeah. It's kind of just something I came across. More and more people are starting to do Substacks, which is kind of like their own blogs and stuff. And this was Mark Stein, who used to write for ESPN, and he's done a lot of NBA correspondent stuff. And he just wrote that he's heard enough to think that Pop is really he wants the wins more than he leads on. I mean, for one, I even wrote about this like in May or something that I don't really think he cares, and it's not going to affect his decision either way. And I still feel that way, but it was more just me kind of reporting what I've been reading, what I
Yeah.
read from Mark Stein and what he's heard. So it's a rumor. I mean, I'm sure there's some to it. I mean, I'm sure he would like to be the winningest coach, and you can't really deny that that would be an awesome accomplishment. So it wouldn't surprise me if it did factor in, but all in all, I think it's just going to be whether he wants to or not. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. He's so close.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
usually doesn't, want to say, "Oh, I want these accolades," or "Yes, I
Right.
want this." I think behind the scenes, he's like, you know what? It's team first. If they happen to win more than 26 games, that's a plus. But I think his main focus is going to be on the team. Yes, if that's in reaching distance, it'd be great to have. Who wouldn't want that? Let's be honest here. But Coach Pop is never
Right.
going to come clean and say, "Yeah, I just came back this season to be the winningest coach in NBA history." That's very
Right.
unlike Coach Popovich. But Vicky, what do you think? Do you think Coach Popovich has this in the back of his mind somewhere? And wouldn't you like to see him be the most winningest coach in NBA history?
For sure. I definitely think that it's in his mind, probably at the forefront of his mind, but he's
Right
not
now that
going
he
to
just
let
finished
that
winning the
out.
Olympic gold, right?
Right. After what he said after winning the gold, I feel like it kind of gave us an insight into how he thinks. And, like we said, it doesn't seem like wins, losses really affect him that much. But I think that being this close, 26 games, it's obviously attainable. Um, I think it's gotta bug him if he were to quit and not get that. He's so close, what's one more year? If that's really like, what he's thinking, I think he would think, yeah, I'm gonna go get those 26 wins. I don't think he's gonna say it to anyone, not even probably not even his players, because I don't think that that's gonna give them it might. It would probably give them reason to fight for those wins, but he's not like that, he's not one to voice that kind of stuff. But I definitely think it's on his mind, and I think it's gonna drive him crazy if he's not able to do that. It would drive me crazy if he goes through this season and they just completely tank and aren't able to get 20 wins, then I mean, that would suck.
Well, that's a good segue into our next segment, also pulled from Air Alamo, courtesy of our very own Josh Paredes here, writing another article, which I kind of like what he had to say here. He was talking about some comments here, not only about what Lonnie Walker was saying, but also what the Vegas odd makers are saying about the San Antonio Spurs. And an article here by Josh Paredes entitled "Lonnie Walker has taken notice of the haters." You can go ahead and check that out again on Air Alamo, written by our very own Josh Paredes. And it says San Antonio has won just 65 of their last 143 games for a 45.4% mark over the last two seasons. The Spurs have failed to make the postseason in the last two seasons. Um, and they just haven't looked very good. When it comes to them having that play-in game, can they go ahead and win, and you get a chance to go on and move on, and that just hasn't been the case for the team. Um, and I think going into this season with DeMar moving on, we don't have Patty, we don't have Rudy, we have a lot of new faces on this team, a lot of the younger players that we really don't know a lot about at this point. There's still question marks, even though we see videos of them working really hard in the off season. I think it kind of hurts their feelings in a way where they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder, because the Vegas odd makers have the team projected to win just 28.5 games, and they're going to finish the Las Vegas odd makers. They have the team finishing in the bottom five of the league. And Lonnie Walker, says that he kind of took notice of that, and he's like, on a Twitter post, he put, "I heard all the disrespect. We acting different this season." So let's go ahead and get into this. Are you buying or selling what Lonnie Walker is saying? We'll start with you, Josh.
I'm buying what he's saying in terms of how committed he is and how dedicated he's going to be to the season. I feel like I've seen how upset he was with how they fell short of that play-in game last season. I forgot where I saw it, but he was on some guy's Instagram, and he was really just. It was soon after, and he was just talking about how determined he is, and that he really just wants to win in San Antonio. And I'm buying that he's very motivated. I'm not necessarily sure it's going to translate to a lot of wins, because it takes more than
Oh,
just
come
Lonnie going
on.
on. I
They're
mean,
not going
you're
to
in the
win
same
50
boat.
wins, Josh. Come on.
I mean, it's not going to be 28 and a half. Let's get that out of the
Okay,
way. They haven't
29.
made. You're taking the over then.
Maybe.
um, there's 82 games. I mean, assuming they play all 82, we don't know what is going to happen. Still, we're not completely out of COVID yet. So,
Right.
if it's an 82 game season, there's no way they're not going to get at least 30 wins. I don't see it happening. But and again, this is kind of a season where they could just surprise everybody and win 40 or 43, or they could just completely fall apart. And I don't really see either of those happening. I think there's a middle ground. And I don't know if you want me to give my win projections now or later, but
Let's save that for a little later.
okay.
But we
And
got
then
some comments
yeah,
here. So
okay.
some of our viewers are watching. We have Rudy Amico watching us from Twitter, and he puts, "This season will go as DJ and Lonnie go, I think." And then we have Chin Chukwu, who's watching us from YouTube, and they're saying absolutely buying. Then we have Matthew here watching us from Twitter, and he's putting, Lonnie Walker the fourth will go down as a top five Spur of all time, bar none." I like his enthusiasm there,
I
and
can tell none of these people are from Facebook because they're all
they're
positive
Yes.
positive.
comments.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Good
we
job,
don't we don't go to Facebook, man. Facebook is a nexus of negativity.
No.
But
Yes.
Rudy again put on here, 35 is realistic as far as the win projections go. And
Mhm.
Antoine Jones, watching us from YouTube, went ahead and put, "We're going to the playoffs." I love the enthusiasm, I got to say, because despite what the Vegas odd makers say, I know you're going to go with what the heart wants, Vicky, and you want the team to move on and
Yes.
go into the playoffs.
Yes.
So let us
I
know, are you
do.
buying or selling what Lonnie's telling us?
I okay, so I definitely want them to succeed. And in the same sort of token as Josh was saying, I'm buying that he has that heart, he has that drive. He's gonna do everything he can do. But we don't know if we've seen everything that Lonnie can do, because he has been here a few seasons now. And every once in a while you think you see that, like his greatest potential. But is that it? I mean, is he able to consistently do that on a regular basis and be a game changer for the team? I don't know. I think this season is going to tell in that respect whether or not he's able to make a difference and get the team to, 35 plus wins this season. And I think 35, I feel like that's a little low. I think I think they can really surpass 35 wins. Um,
Very
Now
optimistic there.
I
Very
am. I
optimistic,
am
Vicky.
optimistic. But when you think about it, I mean, last season, what did they have? 30, 30? Was it 30 wins?
It was
No, it was
32,
higher.
33.
33?
I'll get that for you in a second. I think it was. It looks like it was 33.
They would have easily gotten another, I think, 8 wins. I mean, there were a lot of games that were super close. Now going into this season, there's not going to be the uncertainty of DeMar, losing LaMarcus Aldridge mid-season. There are a lot of things that really factored into them losing a lot last year. So I really think that they have the chance. I'm going to say 38 is like
Oh
my
my God.
low. I really do think they can. I think it's going to be rough at the beginning though, because I think that they've got to gel, they've got to figure each other out, and they haven't had time to do that, considering all of the changes that have happened over the summer.
Man,
But
Vicky, you're bringing out the hot takes early already.
I am, I am. But
Holding back.
barring any kind of like major injuries or anything, like I think they could definitely get over 35 wins.
Okay, 35. Josh, you put them going at how many wins? Is your win total projection for this season?
So I was just doing a little math since you mentioned that I had said they won 45.4% of their last 2 seasons. If they hold true to that, they should get around 37. There's no reason to think that they should be much worse or
So
much better
Vicky's
than
math
that.
is actually okay.
Yeah, Vicky's math is okay.
Checks out.
Yeah, so, I'll go a little higher to around maybe 39, 38. That's kind
Wow.
of being optimistic, though. I know that it's gonna take a lot of work, and those road trips might be a killer. But at the same time, they were terrible at home last season.
Oh
They
my
That they
did
were.
get
goodness.
more of their damage on the road, which was
Mhm.
a rarity, but who knows if that's gonna happen again. Now there's gonna be more fans, so maybe that can be something that can boost their record. At the same time, now on when they're on the road, they're gonna have fans over there too, so maybe it'll be
Mhm.
closer to normal. I would say that. I know that Paul Garcia, our own Project Spurs own Paul Garcia, he has his own little whole list filled out of all wins and losses, and he thinks maybe around 31, I wanna say.
Okay.
So and he's,
Within
he's the
reason. He's within reason.
he's a real Paul's pro, so all of ours are probably overshooting it, and
Right.
Paul might be on the right track, but, we'll see. I don't know. I'd like to get something over Paul that I can hold over him.
We need to get Paul on here one time. I know he's working right now,
Yeah.
but it's hard. We'll have to do an evening session of the
Yeah.
Spurs Rewind to get him on here. But
Yes.
I'm going to read some of these some of these comments before I give my take. Chin Chikwu, who's watching us from YouTube, he put Pop has to go all in on DeJounte and Lonnie as his starting backcourt. Rudy Campos, our good friend Rudy Campos, is watching us too on Facebook, of all things, from Facebook.
Oh,
And Rudy
nice.
puts top 5 all time Spur. It's a comment to somebody else saying that Lonnie was going to be top 5 all time. Matthew, watching us from Twitter, he puts, I'm VZ, I'm here, and I'm back, bro.
Oh, that guy.
And here's Rudy
Uh-oh.
again. Rudy puts,
Please give me your win total, VZ, and
right?
if it's above 12, I'll be happy.
And Rudy puts, I can bet a mansion he won't be top 5 all time Spur. He's referring to Lonnie
Well, I
Walker.
mean, yeah.
Aw.
Let people
Well,
exaggerate, come on.
Yeah, but I'm
oh,
gonna go
yeah,
ahead and
okay.
give my expectations based on what we lost and what we don't know, because there's a lot of variables going into the season as far as players that we just don't know about. Yes, they can work hard, they can put in all the work in the off season, but come the regular season, it's a whole different animal. It's a different dynamic, and it's a tough season. It's 82 games. There's still the playing game, and again, we're having to contend with COVID, and I think that's a big factor because depending on who gets sick, who comes down, who's contracting it, who has to be in quarantine, how is it going to affect the schedule? I think we can be looking at almost a similar scenario as last season. COVID to me is the variable that's really you got to put in there somehow, some way that
Mhm.
can affect the outcome of the season. Given that and what we lost, I think the Vegas odd makers are being pretty generous in 28.5. I'd have to go more along with Paul, maybe 30, maybe 29 wins. I don't really see the team going above that. If they do, they're going to go ahead and exceed expectations in my eyes. But really, the whole thing that I'm going to look for this season is the growth of the actual core. You know, what is
You're
our
taking
young
them down?
what is going to be the growth of our young players, you know? I'm fine with winning or losing. I'm just trying to be realistic here. We don't have an NBA superstar. We can't rely on DeRozan anymore because he's not here. So who's going to step up? That's the big question mark that we
I
don't
think
know
that's
about
okay.
right now, you know? So I'm
Yes.
just saying, I'm
I
just being realistic. Write it down. We have the tape. We
Yes,
can go back and
write it
look at it
down.
later.
All of ours, all of
Yeah.
ours.
I hope
That's
I'm
true.
wrong, but I'm just trying to prepare everybody for what I think is going to be the inevitable. You know, it's going to be a long season,
Mm.
regardless of how you look at it. You know,
It is gonna be a long season compared to the last 2. It'll
Yeah,
be
very
it'll be
long
nice.
season,
gonna
Vicky.
be an actual long season. I
That
Yeah.
don't know if
means if
you've
you're
heard
going
about.
to a Spurs game, you might have to indulge in some heavy drinking to get through the game.
That's okay.
Yeah, that happens normally during
Yeah.
games anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, they have some good stuff over there by Burger Teca and La Gloria. The
Mm.
margaritas, the mangonadas are to die for, and
Yes.
so is the food. You know, I like to hang out in that section. I've taken Josh over there; he had a good time. So yeah, if you go and hang out over there, it's okay. If they're losing, you just go get something to drink, get something to eat. You're all
You'll
right.
be able to
Maybe
Yeah.
find
maybe you'll win a free shirt.
Yes.
on the COVID note, I know that this might be a thing that other teams start to do, but I believe
Mhm.
the Trailblazers announced today that anybody has to be vaccinated that attends the games.
Oh
Oh,
So
wow.
wow.
that could be something that I mean I could see the Spurs doing that, especially just given San Antonio is more one of those cities. Popovich would be one of
That's
the
true.
guys that would encourage that. So that might be a thing. I know there's probably some Facebook people watching that wouldn't be happy with that, but that might just be something that makes it easier and safer for to get all these 82 games out. And I'm sure it's going to be spreading to other teams. I don't think all of them are going to do it, but that's just something to keep an eye on.
Right.
I'm thinking about this because I'm looking at the comments coming in. Antoine Jones says 47 wins. That's very
That's
optimistic.
very
Okay.
I
optimistic.
would be super happy if that
Mhm.
happened, though.
And
I
then we
mean
had who else? And who is this? Okay, Rudy Amico. He puts, my biggest hope is we don't trade any of our young prospects for Simmons. Let's let them grow. Okay, I get that. And then Rudy, of
mhm.
course, the realist that he is, Rudy Campos Jr. All kidding aside, have to figure they are 29 to 32 win team this season. If it's a youth movement, there will be a ton of struggles, but you have to look at it as a good thing. Give the new core a chance to develop chemistry over the full season. And that's kind of what I was saying too. I'm okay with losing, just you need to see some growth out of your players. Oh,
Right.
and Matthew puts on, you're watching this from Twitter. Great, I'll be depressed and an alcoholic and broke from all the $10 beers I'll be buying. Yep. You probably want to go when the stimmy hits.
Mhm.
The Spurs need to just release their own kind of strong liquor and that they can benefit off of even when they're losing.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the real that maybe the new, guy that came in, an investor guy can get on top of that.
right.
Yeah,
Get something going.
good point.
Maybe
Yeah,
I can
that's
start
really good.
peddling my home brew, my TD 21
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
on
good
the
right.
outside,
idea.
right? I'll be like walking around the AT&T center like the paleta man,
With shots
Yeah.
after.
right? And
Yeah.
Josh and Vicky can be selling tacos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vicky's gonna
Taco
eat all the
truck.
tacos first. It'll be good
Yeah.
times, good times. But let's
Oh
go
my
ahead and
gosh.
transition to our next subject, which we were talking just about win predictions, what we think the team is going to wind up doing. What the Vegas odd makers had the team projected at 28.5 wins this coming season. Now, we're looking right now at the schedule, the 2021-2022 schedule for the San Antonio Spurs. Guys, I got to be honest with you. I look at this schedule and it don't look good. The season's set to kick off October 20th. They're going to face the Orlando Magic. Okay, 7:30 p.m. tip-off time. The Magic are one of these teams that seem to give the Spurs trouble. Of course, they don't have some of the players that were on the team, but you can never just say that's an easy win. That's a gimme. Second game of the season, the Denver Nuggets. Third game of the season, Milwaukee Bucks. Fourth game of the season, they play the Lakers. Then they play the Dallas Mavericks and the Milwaukee Bucks again. Guys, I got to be honest with you. Out of the games that I just told you, which are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, there's no gimmies here. There's one that you can say, okay, they got a shot, at beating the Orlando Magic. The rest of the teams this early in the season, anything can happen, yes, but could the Spurs realistically start off the season with a losing streak? We'll start with you, Vicky.
I think that it's a really tough beginning to the season. I think they have a chance to win, like you said, the opener. I think the others are gonna be tough, but I don't know that they're I mean, we have no idea what this new team's gonna look like. I think they could get a couple out of those. I don't think they'll go completely, like, 0-5 in the first 5 games. I think they'll get a
But it
couple of
could
wins.
happen.
It could happen, but I'm leaning towards it's not going to happen that they go
You're
0-5.
going to
I
have
don't
your prayer candle lit.
Yes, yes. I realistically think they'll get a couple of wins in those first 5 games. At least one.
At least one.
I think they'll get at least one.
Oh my
Yes.
God, Vicky. I heard the optimist. They're gonna at least get one. They'll get one out of the first six. I like that.
Yes,
I
yes.
like that. I think they might get one too. The other ones, if they win more than one, exceeded expectations. But Josh, I just told us the first 6 games of the season. I mean, what do you think? Do you think the team is going to surprise everyone and actually get a couple wins there, or are they going to start off the season on a losing streak?
I think they'll get the first one, so I wouldn't say they would start it with the losing streak. And I'm gonna say that Bryn Forbes is gonna go off against Milwaukee, maybe, and that would be a win. um, Maybe 2 and 3 in the first 5. That's kind of being hopeful. I mean, teams are just getting warmed up; they're just starting. So, as you said, anything is possible. I don't see anything like 0-5 either. They shouldn't lose to the Magic, especially because it was Vucevic that was always the one that was killing them, and now
Yeah.
he's not there. So I think they should win that one, start 1-0. Everybody will start proclaiming them, champs after that, and then they'll
They're
probably lose
world
a,
And
beaters,
they'll get
Josh.
a
They're
rough
world
patch.
yeah,
beaters.
probably lose a couple in a row. Hopefully Forbes goes off against Milwaukee, and
That'd be great.
yeah,
That would be
and
great.
maybe Dallas. I could see us the Spurs sneaking that one away
Yeah.
also. The divisional games, especially with Dallas, are always down to the wire or close. And it doesn't matter who's bad at the time
Yeah, or
and who's
even
not.
records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't just say it's total loss in the first week already, but it's also it could go just like the entire season. It could go any which way.
Mhm.
This whole team's unpredictable, and funny enough about strength of schedule and stuff like you mentioned, it's funny how when you're not as good, every game seems hard now. So
Yes, it does.
didn't used to be the case where you would see someone like Indiana or Phoenix or Atlanta and say or Washington and say that's going to be a tough match, and
Right.
now everything's a dogfight, and
Yeah.
that's kind of goes back to what Lonnie said. You're going to have that mentality every night,
Mhm.
and it's going to be tough.
Yep, it's going to be very tough. We got some more comments here. Chin Chikwu, who's watching us from YouTube, is saying there should be a question as to what the starting five should be. DeJounte, Lonnie, Keldon, Thaddeus. He also likes Luca here, and also he likes Jakob. We really don't know what the starting five is going to be because we haven't even come up to preseason yet. So that's really up to Coach Pop and the coaching staff. Once they see the guys and what they're doing in workouts, in preseason play,
Mhm.
then they'll go ahead and start dialing in what the lineups might look like. And we know Coach Pop, he's going to always mess with the lineups in the beginning of the season, tweak things here and there. Spurs fans are going to say the sky is falling, which I think is going to happen if they go on 0-5 losing streak to start the season. The season's over. Might as well tank. You know, I know that's going to be coming sooner or later.
I think
Rudy,
Oh, yeah.
the only spot that's not really, that we're not really sure of is power forward. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
that that's really solidified. I mean, we have Keldon should probably be at small forward. We have DeJounte, we have
Mhm.
Jakob, we have, Derek White, and that's just that spot. There's been debate about who that should be. Maybe, Luka's time to get some run there like he did when there was some COVID, or maybe Thaddeus, he's experienced enough and he could be the vet on the
Mhm.
floor. Either one of those would be fine with me, but I think it's pretty safe bet that the other 4 will be the starters. Power
Right.
forward is the question mark. Maybe
yeah.
Doug McDermott
Mhm.
also.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Rudy Amico, watching us from Twitter, said, "Side note: Don't give Bryn Forbes more minutes than Trey Jones. Trey showed out in summer league. I agree. Trey looked good in summer league, but it is
He
again, it's
did.
summer league. We need to see what the coaching staff decides to do. We really don't have any control over that, other than just voicing our concerns and say, hey, this is what we want. But the coaching staff's like, no, this is what you're going to get."
Yeah.
Tavares is watching us from YouTube, and he put McDermott in the starting lineup. I don't I'm not going to say that I'm opposed to that. McDermott is a good shooter and he's a veteran. So again, you'd want somebody out there that can contribute and doesn't make a lot of mistakes, get in foul trouble
Mhm.
early. So I like that. George C watching us from Twitter says keyword summer league. Exactly, George, or Jorge, should I say. Chin Chick was watching us from YouTube and says McDermott in the starting lineup over who? That's a question. We have a lot of question marks here. We're just kind of predicting, hey, this is what would be pretty cool if we see McDermott in the starting lineup, but whose place would he take in the starting lineup? You're going to start him over who, Josh?
I mean, I guess
There's
Rosen's spot.
yeah.
It's just
We
about
don't have
positioning.
anyone in that spot,
We
so
don't.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just
it's
about
empty.
positioning. I mean, Keldon
Yeah.
might not do well as an undersized, power forward or something, so there might be an issue
Mhm.
there, but I'm not opposed to McDermott being in the starting lineup either because that's
Same.
an issue. Like, he would bring shooting that DeMar didn't, and that's why the lanes were always closed for
Yes.
Keldon and DeJounte. So
Bryn Forbes is
yeah,
also a favorite of Pops, and he's a shooting guard.
not as a starter though. We don't need that. She just got chill. She just got actual chills.
that
Yes.
that would send a clear sign of tanking in Spurs fans'
It
eyes.
might be. Yeah.
Chidchikwo, he's putting uh, winning the gold in the Olympics. He says exactly what I think uh, Coach Pop needed. He says the passion that we're used to seeing from Pop has not really been there in the past few seasons. I don't think it's that the passion has left him. I think he's just having to
No.
deal with a lot of different factors. COVID being one of them, injuries being another, losing one of your really good players, your bona fide NBA superstar and Kawhi
Yes.
Leonard, and then having to pick up the pieces and trying to make do with what you have. I mean, it's gonna put any team in a tailspin, especially
Mhm.
when you really don't have the personnel around you to really
Right.
get you to where you want to get, as far as into the postseason and whatnot. I think Coach Pop did an admirable job of keeping the team afloat. I mean, let's face it, losing Kawhi could have been disastrous. Yes, while we didn't make the playoffs, the Spurs were still able to put together some wins. So it's not
Mhm.
like all was lost. They were still trying to be competitive out there, given the
Right.
personnel they had in place. Frankie's watching us from YouTube, and he puts shooting guard position. I knew that was going to be coming up. Frankie also says he's going to be the new marksman. Okay, that's what he's saying. And Chinchikwu says shooting guard Lonnie Walker. We don't know what Lonnie can do, fully in the context of getting
There's a
some
lot of
quality
options.
minutes.
That
Yeah,
that might be
Yes.
what the first few weeks are about
Yep.
is
A
really
lot of switching.
yeah,
Yeah.
what works
yeah,
best.
a lot of switching. So let's go ahead and go back real quick and look a little bit more into what's going on with the season. It just gets very interesting. The schedule doesn't get any easier. You still have, even going into November, you're going to be facing the Pacers, the Mavericks, the Magic, the Thunder, the Kings, the Mavericks again, Lakers, Clippers, Timberwolves, Suns, Hawks, Celtics, Wizards. It's like
Yeah.
whoever designed the schedule for the San Antonio Spurs had a
I hate the
sixth sense of
Spurs.
humor, you know?
Well, that's Joe, that's what it's gonna look like when you're not as good anymore.
Exactly. You're
It's not
like,
really
Yes.
about I mean, they're just all
It's
teams.
all gonna be uphill.
They all have other
Right.
weaknesses, they all have their strengths. I don't think if you see a bunch of teams that were in the playoffs last year in a row, well, I
Mhm.
mean, there were 16 of them, so and then
That's true.
20 if you include the play-in, so, I mean,
Yeah,
you're gonna see the names are gonna look intimidating, but at the end of the day, it's just basketball, and we have
exactly.
players that can compete, and any given day, they should be able to be alright. If you're a team that is kind of not favored very often, there's a reason for that, but I don't think it's like Adam Silver sticking it to the Spurs or anything, it's just
you
them
don't
not
like us.
being as good anymore.
One of the things I can tell you though is a game that everybody's looking at is going to be the game when they're playing the Nets. They get to see
Mhm.
Patty Mills again. They're going to be at Brooklyn on January the 9th, but
Mhm.
Patty's going to wind up coming back home to the AT&T Center on January the 21st, which is a game that I plan on going to. I'm sure Josh might go. I'm sure Vicky might try to go wearing her Patty jersey so
Yeah.
we can welcome Patty back home. And I'm sure they're going to have a touching tribute video or whatnot
Yeah.
in Patty's honor. But yeah, the
We could have
schedule,
Vicky in that video somewhere too.
they're going to have her ugly
Right.
crying on the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
And me and Josh are going to pick up our phones and say, that's my new profile pic.
Aw.
But looking at the schedule, I mean, it's not, when you're looking at it as a whole, you're looking at this like Josh says, and you're like, okay, these aren't gimme games anymore, because
No,
of the
yep.
way the team is structured currently. So it's going to be a trying season, I think, for everybody. Vicky, any games out here that really stood out at you that you're thinking of? Hey, this could be really interesting. I want to see what this team looks like against the San Antonio Spurs.
I'm just always excited to see the Spurs play Denver. I don't know why. I feel like Denver is one of those really underrated teams that they're really good and they kind of just are always considered boring. I don't know why. I mean, obviously, like they had the MVP this year and all that. Um, but I don't know. Like I'm really excited to see them play Denver. I'm excited to see them go up against the Mavs always because if we can get a win against the Mavs, it's like a championship. I don't know. Like it just feels great to beat the
Another gold
Mavs.
medal.
Yes, exactly. And then I'm also excited for Brooklyn because of Patty Mills, but also because of I just have like a newfound respect for Kevin Durant, I guess, since the Olympics.
You were watching the
Um
documentary, weren't you?
Yes, I actually was. But I really liked him. I think he was a really cool, like, sort of mentor figure to Keldon also throughout that time. So I'm excited to see those 3 teams especially. But honestly, I'm just excited for the season to start. I really wanna see the Spurs, this new Spurs, the young Spurs. I know that it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting, but as we transition to one of the last subjects that we're going to talk about, talking about one Patty Mills and him coming back to visit the Spurs on January the 21st. Let's go ahead and put a video up here real quick, just, something that I came across on Twitter, and it was a touching tribute. Patty Mills actually put this up, and he says, "You can't say goodbye to a place that will forever be part of you. Besides, you still got to have a fiddle in the band. Forever connected." He puts hashtag Spurs por vida, and I'm not going to play the music, but I'll play some of the video for you, as you can see, and it's just a kind of a touching tribute with Patty and some of his best moments as a Spur, and him just being Patty. Um, I think we're all going to wind up missing him. It's going to be weird seeing him play for another team, but it is what it is at this point.
Oh, she went off camera 'cause she's about to cry.
She's about to cry. But yeah, I mean, all the things that you liked about Patty Mills, are on full display here. Him hoisting up the trophy with the rest of the team, 2014, you know, and just him interacting with the fans. Patty was one of these players that really made time to thank the fans and go out of his way to say hi to them and take pictures with them and sign autographs with them. He's just one of those special players, and I look forward to him coming back one day, retiring as a San Antonio Spur. And if you didn't get teary eyed watching that video, I don't know, man. You don't got a heart or something, you know. So
Mm.
we were gonna miss Patty, and Patty's gonna miss us by the looks of it as well. But
Yes.
what did you think of the video? We'll start with you, Josh.
Oh, I thought it was great. He's very good at capturing the emotion that he has for the city and just like getting it all out there. And he's like on social. Even I noticed, after Australia won bronze, he was posting a bunch of stories on his Instagram of, I guess, people that were sending him their reactions to Australia winning. So it was a bunch of Australian accents, people like excited about the team getting their first basketball medal, I
Mhm.
believe. And he just had a whole feed of that, and it was just fun to watch because it's just like he's just like sharing stuff with his fans, that moment with his fans, and that's kind of what he's doing here. He was even doing that again yesterday, sharing a bunch of pictures on his Instagram, from
Mhm.
his whole time here that I happened to look through. There was just all kinds of stuff, on and off court stuff. I think in that video he was Santa Mills, and it was very it's very like that's what we're gonna miss, that person
Yeah.
at more so than his play, even though that was awesome as well. But yeah, he's definitely gonna be missing the community, and I'm sure he'll be back. He's one of those guys that'll probably be back because he's so ingrained in our community now.
Right.
Yeah. So what did you think of the video, Vicky? We thought you left because you kind of bounced out. You
No.
said she's crying off camera somewhere.
No, no, I'm sorry, I had some issues with my everything, but but, no, it was a very, very touching, tribute that he did. Just seeing, I guess, exactly what Josh was saying, like, he had, like, a really deep connection with the community. I think that, Spurs fans are all very, maybe because of our, Latino culture, we are very, like, family oriented, and Spurs members are, like, part of our family. So he embraced that, and he was like, this community ambassador for the Spurs. And I think that, he loved San Antonio, and I loved seeing that he said, "Spurs for life," and it was just, like, everything a Spurs fan wants to hear, like, they're leaving us, but it's not like, "Oh, Brooklyn's way better, and I'm gonna be, like, right by New York City." Um, he just showed his appreciation for the fans and for the city, and I do think he'll come back in some capacity at some point.
So
Um
is anybody excited to see the Bryn Forbes hype video?
I didn't even know that came out.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, I just saw it right now as I'm scrolling through. I'm just like, oh, really? I'm not going to put that on there.
Oh,
But yeah, I get what you're
no.
saying, Vicky, because Patty was really one of those players that really, you know, was interconnected with the fan base. They
Mhm.
embraced him, he embraced us, and it's a very unique situation when that happens, especially with
Yes.
somebody as special as Patty. So yeah, his presence is definitely going to be missed, this coming season. But I wish him all the best in whatever he does. Hopefully, he gets an opportunity to, go and chase a championship with the Brooklyn Nets. So hats off to you, Patty. Good on you, Patty. I'm gonna miss hearing game day ball.
Yeah,
Good day, mate. And all that stuff. It's it was fun, having him here. But
it
we got to
was.
also mention somebody else's birthday and going to Project Spurs right now on their Twitter. Shout out to you, Dylan, for all the great stuff you're putting up there on Project Spurs Twitter line. We're gonna say happy birthday to the one and only Robert Ory. And as we're watching on screen right now, this is
Oh.
gonna be the moment that he hit the big shot against the Detroit Pistons. When the series was tied up 2-2. Um, so shout out to Big Shot Bob. And here it comes, Manu to Robert Ory for three, and that's all she wrote.
That was so
That was
good.
so good, yeah. So
Still the most important shot, biggest shot in Spurs history in my mind, no question. Remember,
Huge shot.
Miracle was great. It's number 2,
you
but
think
it
this
was
is
like
number one?
what was that?
You think this one's actually number one?
Oh, it definitely is number 1. I've written about this numerous times. I mean,
Aw.
when you look at it was game 5 on the road
Yeah,
in the last, what, 10 seconds? Would have
that was
gone back
huge.
home down 3-2, or yeah, I believe so. Um, so and then Sean Elliott's, it was awesome. It was like very clutch and it sparked the entire thing maybe, but they would have won that series either way, I think. That was, I believe, just to go up 2-0 or something. So it was huge, not as monumental, like game impact wise as
Mhm.
Robert Ory's for sure. And then, he had the entire game he had that game was nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah. Shout out Robert Ory, even though I'm not sure how much you like the Spurs anymore, but
Yeah.
we'll,
I also
we're
want to
still
kind of show something that Vicky had shared, and we're going to go back to the screen here, and I'm sharing one of your tweets, Vicky. And this was actually something that I thought was pretty cool because you had retweeted a scene, like a commercial that they're using now that's showcasing Manu Ginobili as part of Space
Yes!
Jam 2 as the ads continue. And I thought that was really cool because they had a commercial and they show the silhouette, and they're talking in
Yes.
Spanish, on the Space Jam 2 commercial. And then all you see Manu coming out holding his cup of coffee. So that was great. I love that.
It's so great. Oh, I loved it. He's so good.
Yeah,
we need to just have its own series now with him,
He
even as a
really,
cartoon,
should.
man. That'd be awesome.
he really
That'd
should.
be
I mean, he looks
cool.
great as a cartoon here with all the rest of the
He
Looney Tunes.
does.
He
I love
fits
it.
right in. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just a little,
Yes.
Spurs news and notes there at the very end of the show, just
Yeah.
showcasing something new. So make sure you go and check that out on Project Spurs, on the Project Spurs Twitter line, Twitter page, whatever you want to say it, whatever the kids call it nowadays. I don't know. I don't know the jargon anymore. I'm an old man.
Twitter line sounds right.
Yeah,
So
that
as we
sounds
go ahead
good.
and bring the show to a close, let's go ahead and go to you, Vicky. And where can they follow
Yes.
you and interact with you on social media?
Well, I'm on Twitter at the Vicky Vix, and I think you're showing like a little icon
Yeah,
thing.
I
Is
am
it there?
right now. It's right there.
There.
So she doesn't have to
I don't
actually
have to
spell it
spell it
all out.
anymore.
This is where you can follow the Vicky
Yes.
Vix.
Yes.
So make sure you go and
Woohoo.
follow Vicky and look at all the stuff that she's putting out there and interact with her. She's a good gal that loves sports and Formula One racing, and she likes the MCU. So if you want to get a little, geeked out and nerd out with her, talk about What If, the series, which she has not watched yet, I believe.
I haven't.
Oh,
I
Vicky,
haven't. I haven't.
you gotta watch
I
it.
have to, I have to.
You have to watch it. So
Saw
make
the Spider-Man trailer
Oh, that was good.
multiple
I gotta
times.
say, I'm excited. I'm
Yes.
excited. So
Yes.
let's go ahead and go to you, Josh. Where can they go ahead and follow you on social media? And what do you have coming up as far as articles go?
Yeah, you can follow me at Josh810,
And as I can see, it's
Josh810
right
on
here
Twitter,
below
and it's gonna be
over
right
here.
over
You can't
here,
see it.
probably
Way
down
over
there,
there. My finger's out of the
at the
shot.
bar way down there. I'm constantly posting my articles, stuff about the Spurs, breaking news, whatever. I do have a speaking of Patty, I kind of came across a story somebody had that of him giving them a gift for a
I saw
while
that.
that I am following up on, and I'm going to have that out very soon.
Mm.
Just kind of shows the big heart he had and the effort he puts in to, he doesn't really have to do stuff like that. And it's going to be one of those nice stories. Um, that's going to be, I'll share it at Josh810. I also have something, I'm just going to tease a little something that I'm coming up with pretty soon that I'm going to have probably in about a week. I'm going to share something about it. It's a personal project that I'm working on. I had Tim Duncan week before that, but
Yeah.
this might be even bigger. And that's going to be at Josh810 also. So follow me there. And yeah, thanks for having me as usual. It's fun.
Yeah. And we
Woohoo.
also, before we got to go, we got to kind of show Josh in his trick shot here of his spectacular miss dunk in the backyard.
Oh, is it the one that I just did today? I believe.
Yes, 4 hours ago.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Austin Spurs even laughed at it. So that was cool.
Yeah. Hey, maybe
Nice.
it's an
Yeah,
invite
it's
for you to
back
try
there.
out.
So that's another thing I'll have probably soon is a reel of bloopers that I've had because I've been doing this since COVID pretty much hit. I've been trying to record different dunks and trick shots, and of course, there's a lot of times where it goes over the fence, or I just slip or fall or something. So I will have that on my Twitter if you want to see stuff like that. You can also go there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So before we go ahead and end the whole show, and before I let you know where you can follow me on social media, we want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at DraftKings. DraftKings is so gracious enough to make the show go here. So if you want to go ahead and download DraftKings, which is the top rated app as well, make sure you use the promo code TBPN. Again, use the promo code TBPN, and you can be entered to win it. Into getting a chance to win up to $50,000 in total cash prizes. So again, make sure you go ahead and download the DraftKings top rated app and use the code TBPN. And if you want to interact with me on social media, you can go ahead and follow me. And I'm putting it right here on the screen at Two Shots Podcast, and it's all spelled out TWO, Two Shots Podcast. And I love to talk sports. I like to talk Spurs basketball. And we also geek out a lot on the things that we do behind the scenes, talking about, the new Spider Man No Way Home trailer and anything else that's happening in the world of pop culture and entertainment. So for Josh Paredes and Vicky Vix, I'm Joe Garcia, and thank you for watching another episode of the Spurs Rewind. And like we always say, spread the love, stop the hate, and be kind. We're out. Peace.